Go. Hey, we do want to get back to that story that we were mentioning at the top of our newscast regarding, Valentine's Day, how days like today can be heavier. For some
Absolutely, causing some depression for some. Bill Churchwell looked into that for us and has this report.
It's often considered taboo, depression or mental illness. When it comes to parents, there could be guilt associated with it. One mom and wife I had a conversation with today gets real and raw about this subject, but also how she came to recognize it and seek out the resources. In a room full of cheerful colors, there are playful post-its from children, unicorns sitting on shelves, and picture frames with loved ones. Surrounded by happy thoughts, you would never know that Heather Loeb has struggled with darker days.
For me, I notice that I isolate from people, my friends and my family. I don't want to do anything. I sleep more than I usually do. And that's a pretty good indicator that I'm running on empty.
Loeb has battled with depression and anxiety for 20 years. She sat down with me to speak very openly about her personal journey.
I didn't really understand why it was so important until I had kids. And I was mentally ill, I still am. And I was focusing all on them, and I forgot about me. So one of the parts of recovery when you have a mental illness is focusing on yourself.
She says without that self-care, someone can easily fall into a depressive episode, even if you have not had depression before.
Didn't really get bad until I had my children. So then postpartum depression occurred, and I was a mess. It was terrifying. I was suicidal. It was very scary. And at that point, I didn't know that a lot of resources were available, like here in the community.
One of those resources is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Angela Horner with the Corpus Christi Office for NAMI is helping change the conversation.
Being able to be vulnerable, being able to speak out and say, yeah, I take antidepressants, or I struggle with anxiety. There's a lot of people that often say me too, so it's important to talk about it, and it's nothing to be ashamed of.
The organization, made up of all volunteers, offers classes and support groups for those who experience mental illness.
What qualifies us is our lived experience. We're here to come alongside you and say, it's okay that you're going through a rough time.
Horner says the holidays can be a trigger for those who live with depression and suicidal thoughts.
I lost a nephew to suicide almost a little over 10 years ago. He was 25 years old.
Everything I went through was for them to have a healthy, functional mom.
Now in recovery, Loeb works with NAMI and has found blogging as an outlet to share her story in hopes of also saving someone else.
Yeah, it's totally an outlet for me. I get to talk about whatever I want, and it feels good getting that off my chest. Yeah. And I know there are others struggling like I do. Short change.
Bill Churchwell, 3 News.
Or maybe they'll grow up.
All right, Bill, thanks for that report.